Okay, be honest with me for just a second. When you water your tomatoes, do you grab that hose in the evening after supper, once it's cooled off nice and the sun's heading down, and just give those plants a good long drink? Because that right there feels like exactly the right thing to do, doesn't it? The kind, generous, neighborly thing. Well, I'm going to tell you something that's going to bother you a little. That one habit, that one perfectly reasonable, well-meaning habit, might be the single biggest reason your tomatoes keep letting you down year after year. And that's just mistake number one. There's 5 more coming after it. Now, I've been growing tomatoes for longer than I care to admit. Long enough to have made every single one of these mistakes myself. Some of them for years running before I figured out what was going wrong. And here's the thing that gets me. None of these are complicated. None of them require you to buy anything fancy or rip up your whole garden and start fresh. You fix these 6 little things, just these 6, and I promise you, without changing one single other thing about how you garden, you will grow the best tomatoes of your life. So let's get into them. Watering in the evening. All right, mistake number 1, the one I just teased you with. Watering in the evening. And look, I understand it. I really do, because I did it myself for years. My neighbor Patricia still does it, bless her heart, and I've tried to tell her. She smiles and nods and goes right on doing it. Patricia, if you're watching this one's for you. Here's why evening watering feels so right. It's cooler out. It's pleasant. The heat of the day has backed off. You've finished your supper, you've got a few minutes, and you figure the water won't just burn off in the hot sun before the plants even get a chance to drink it down. Makes complete sense in your head. I thought the exact same thing. But here's the trouble with it, and this is the part that really matters. When you water in the evening, especially if any of that water gets up onto the leaves at all, that moisture just sits there on the plant all night long. It doesn't dry off. There's no sun. There's no warmth. There's nothing to pull it away. And a tomato leaf that stays cool and wet through the dark hours of the night is, I'm not joking here, a 5-star hotel for fungus. That is exactly how you get your early blight, your late blight, your leaf spot. All them ugly diseases that turn your leaves brown and yellow and spotty and creep right up the whole plant until the thing looks more dead than alive. Fungus loves 3 things. It loves cool. It loves wet. It loves dark. And when you water of an evening, you hand it all 3 on a silver platter. Every single night, all season long. You're practically rolling out the welcome mat. So what's the fix? Well, it couldn't be simpler, and this is one of those things where once you hear it, you'll never go back. You water in the morning. Early. Soon as you're up. Get yourself a cup of coffee first if you need it. I'm not going to rush you, but you get out there early and you give those plants a good long drink before the day heats up. Then the sun comes up. Any splash on the leaves dries off quick as can be, and the plants go into the heat of the day with a full tank. And they head into the night dry. Nice and dry. Mornings. Always mornings. Same rule as near about everything else out in that garden. If you only take one thing from this whole video, and you never watch another second of it, let it be this. Morning watering will save you more heartache than just about anything else on this list. Watering the plant. Instead of the soil. Okay, mistake number 2, and this one goes hand in hand with the first one. Watering the plant instead of watering the soil. Now picture this. You grab the garden hose or the watering can, and you just kind of shower the whole plant down from up above. Get the leaves all wet. Give it a nice little rain shower. Feel good about yourself. And it feels right. It feels generous. It looks like you're really doing something. I used to do this. I thought I was giving my tomatoes a spa treatment. I was not giving them a spa treatment. Here's the thing. Your tomato plant does not drink through its leaves. It drinks through its roots, down in the ground, sometimes a foot or 2 below the surface. All that water you sprayed up top? It did nothing useful whatsoever. It just sat there on the leaves and invited that same fungus trouble we just talked about in mistake number 1. So you've gone and doubled down on the problem without even meaning to. But it gets worse than that. And this is the part that really surprised me when I first learned it. When water comes down hard from a hose or a watering can and hits that bare dirt around your plants, it splashes back up. Little droplets of soil go flying up into the air and they land on your lower leaves. And that soil is full of disease spores, fungal spores, bacterial spores, all of it just waiting for a ride. That splash up right there is how a whole lot of blight gets started in a tomato patch. The disease is living in the soil, and you're the one flinging it up onto the plant every time you water. Wasn't me, officer. Well, actually, it was me, for years. So here's what you do instead. You water down low, right at the base of the plant, right onto the soil where the roots are living. You keep those leaves as dry as you possibly can. And if you really want to do this right, you go get yourself a soaker hose. One of those ones that just weeps water out slow and steady all along its length. You snake it right along the ground around your plants and you let it run. Or a drip line, same idea. You set it down once and you forget it. The water goes straight to the roots, never touches a single leaf, and you're not out there standing in the garden with a hose every morning like you've got nothing better to do. Not that there's anything wrong with standing in the garden. Sometimes that's the best part of the whole day. But the point stands. Keep the leaves dry. Water the soil. That one change right there will save you a heap of trouble. A little bit. Every day. Mistake number 3. And this one is real common. I see it everywhere, and I understand it completely because it comes from a good place. Watering a little bit every single day. Just a quick splash. A friendly little good morning to the tomatoes. Your heart is absolutely in the right place. Unfortunately, your tomato plant doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about its roots. Here's what's actually happening when you give your plants just a little drink every day. You're only ever wetting the top inch or 2 of soil. And because that's where the water is, that's where the roots go. The plant has got no reason in the world to send its roots down deep when everything it needs is right there at the surface. Easy pickings. So the roots stay up shallow, lazy, not going anywhere. And a tomato with shallow little roots is a plant just asking for trouble. The first hot, dry spell that rolls through. The first afternoon you forget. The first day you're busy and don't get out there. That plant wilts and panics. Because it's got nothing to fall back on down deep. It's living paycheck to paycheck, root-wise. And that is a stressful way to spend a summer. So instead of a little sip every day, you want to do the exact opposite. You water deep and you water less often. You give it one real proper long soak. You want to get that water way down into the soil, 6 to 8 inches deep at minimum. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, how in the world do I know if it went down that far? Well, here's a little trick I love. You wait a bit after you water, then you take a long screwdriver or a thin trowel and you push it straight down into the soil. It'll slide easy through the wet part and stop when it hits dry. That tells you exactly how deep your water actually got. Most people who try this for the first time are genuinely shocked. They think they soaked the ground and the water went down maybe 1.5 inches. Maybe 2 on a good day. That is not deep enough. You want a good deal deeper than that. 6 inches minimum. 8 is better. Then, and this is the part that trips people up, you leave it alone. You let that top layer dry out for a day or 2 or even 3 before you water again. And what happens is, the roots go chasing that moisture downward. They dive deep into the ground looking for it. And over the course of the season, you build yourself a tomato plant with a deep, strong, extensive root system that can shrug off a hot week or a forgotten watering day without breaking a sweat. Deep and slow beats quick and often every single time. That is not an opinion. That is just how roots work. The feast or famine cycle. All right, mistake number 4, and I'm going to be straight with you. This is the big one. This is the one that causes the most heartbreak, the most confusion, the most why is this happening to me? I did everything right. And it's this: letting your watering swing all over the place. Bone dry for a stretch, then a big old flood, then bone dry again. The feast or famine cycle. Now, this mistake causes 2 specific problems that just break a tomato grower's heart. And I want to talk about both of them because I think most folks don't know what's really causing them. First one, you ever go out to the garden and you spot a beautiful big tomato, just about perfect, and you go to flip it over to check the bottom, and the whole bottom end has gone black. Dark, leathery, sunken in, like it rotted right there on the vine before you even got to pick it. That is called blossom end rot. And I cannot tell you how many people swear up and down it's a disease. They start spraying things. They start pulling plants. They go looking for some bug to blame. It's not a disease. 9 times out of 10, it is uneven watering, plain and simple. Here's what's happening. Your tomato plant needs steady, consistent moisture to move calcium up through the plant and into the developing fruit. Calcium is what keeps that bottom end healthy and firm. But when you let the soil go bone dry and then flood it, and then let it go dry again, that process gets interrupted. The calcium can't get where it needs to be, and you end up with that ugly black rotten bottom on an otherwise perfect tomato. I learned this one the hard way. Back in, it must have been 1980 something, I had a whole long row of big beautiful beefsteak tomatoes, the kind you dream about all winter. And I went out one morning and near every single one of them had rotted black on the bottom. I about lost my mind. I sprayed them with everything I had. I called Michael, my neighbor 2 streets over who fancied himself something of a tomato expert. Michael looked very serious, walked up and down the row, and told me I probably had a calcium deficiency and needed to buy something. Michael was half right and entirely wrong at the same time. There was a calcium problem, but I didn't need to buy a thing. I just needed to water evenly. The minute I sorted that out, the rot stopped cold. I've never forgiven myself for all them beefsteaks. The second problem from the exact same cause is cracking. You ever pick up a tomato and it's split right open? Big cracks running around the shoulders, sometimes clear down the side. Same issue. The plant gets thirsty, you dump a big load of water on it, and that fruit swells up so fast the skin literally cannot keep pace with the inside. It just splits open. Beautiful tomato, ruined. 2 different heartbreaking problems, 1 simple fix. Keep your watering steady. Keep it even. Keep it consistent. A tomato wants the same drink on the same regular rhythm, not a drought followed by a flood followed by another drought. Steady is what wins. Always has been. Bare naked dirt and no mulch. Mistake number 5, and I'll be honest, this one doesn't get talked about enough when people talk about watering, because folks don't always connect the 2 things together. But they are absolutely connected. Growing your tomatoes in bare soil with nothing on top. No mulch. Just open dirt baking in the sun all day long. Here's what happens when you've got bare soil around your tomato plants in the middle of summer. You go out in the morning and you give those plants a good deep soak. Just like we talked about in mistake number 3. You did everything right. You're feeling good about yourself. And then the sun comes up and starts hammering that bare dirt all day. And that moisture you put down just evaporates right back out. The soil goes from nicely moist to dry and cracked and thirsty in no time at all. And there you are, back out with the hose sooner than you should have to be, trying to make up the difference. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain half open. You can keep pouring water in, but you're fighting against yourself the whole time. Now, lay down a good blanket of mulch, and the whole game changes. 2, 3 inches of straw spread right around the base of your tomato plants, or shredded leaves if you've got them. Dried grass clippings work a treat, even wood chips in a pinch. That layer of mulch works like a sponge and a sunshade both at the same time. It holds the moisture down in the soil where the roots can actually get at it. It keeps the soil temperature from bouncing around in the heat. And as a bonus, and this ties right back to mistake number 2, it stops that splash up we talked about. Water can't kick disease-laden soil up onto your leaves if there's a thick layer of straw in the way. It just can't. The mulch absorbs the splash before it ever gets started. I'm telling you, mulch alone fixes something like half the problems on this entire list. It helps with mistake 2, it helps with mistake 4 by keeping the moisture steady, and it just makes your whole garden look a whole lot more pulled together. Which shouldn't matter, but honestly does feel nice. If you only do one thing differently after watching this video, go mulch your tomatoes. Do it this weekend. It costs near nothing if you've got straw or leaves or grass clippings. And the difference it makes is remarkable. Watering on autopilot. All right, mistake number 6, the last one. And in some ways this one might be the sneakiest of the bunch, because unlike all the other mistakes on this list, this one isn't about not giving your plants enough. This one is about giving them too much. Watering on autopilot. Dumping water on your tomatoes because it's Tuesday. And Tuesday is watering day. Come rain or shine, hot or cool, wet spring or dry summer, doesn't matter. Tuesday is watering day, and by golly, those plants are getting watered. Now, I'm not saying routine is bad. Routine is great. Morning watering is a habit. Deep soaking is a habit. All of that is good. But your plants don't know what day it is. They don't know it's Tuesday. And if it rained 3 inches the day before, they do not need you out there adding more on top of it. A tomato plant left sitting in soggy, waterlogged soil is a plant in real trouble. Those roots down there need oxygen just as much as they need water. When the soil is saturated, when every little air pocket is filled with water and there's no room left to breathe, those roots start to suffocate. They start to rot. And a plant with rotting roots can't take up water no matter how much you pour on. It wilts just the same as if it hadn't been watered at all, which leads some folks to water it more, which makes the whole situation considerably worse. I've watched people essentially drown their tomatoes in the name of being attentive gardeners. It is a painful thing to witness. And here's the other thing too much water does that nobody talks about enough. It washes the flavor right out. You ever bite into a homegrown tomato and it just tastes like, well, nothing much? A little watery, a little flat, a big disappointment after all that work? Overwatering is often the culprit. A tomato that gets too much water produces fruit that reflects that. Big, soft, watery, and bland. And after everything you did to grow the thing, bland is just not acceptable. So here's the fix. And it is so simple it almost feels like it can't be right. Before you water, do this one thing. Stick your finger down into the soil a couple of inches. Just poke it right in there. If the soil is still moist down at that depth, you leave it alone. It doesn't need anything. Walk away. Go have a cup of tea. Come back tomorrow and check again. If it comes out dry, then you water. That's the whole system. Your finger. The soil. Honest feedback, completely free, works every time. Let the plant tell you what it needs instead of letting the calendar boss you around. Now, I do want to give you a quick word about container tomatoes, because if you're growing in pots or buckets or grow bags on a patio or a balcony, the rules shift a little. A container dries out a whole lot faster than a garden bed does, especially a clay pot sitting in full afternoon sun. Containers have no big reservoir of deep soil to draw from. So your container tomatoes might genuinely need water every single day in the heat of summer. Some days twice. Don't panic about that. It's normal for containers. But the rule is still the same. You don't guess. You check. You stick your finger down into that pot, and when the top inch or so feels dry, you give it a thorough soaking right through until water runs freely out the bottom drainage holes. Container or ground, the finger doesn't lie. And here is one last little thing I want to leave you with. A pro tip that the old market growers have been using forever and most backyard gardeners never hear about. In those last couple of weeks before your tomatoes are fully ripe, ease off the water just a touch. Let them get a little bit thirsty. Not stressed, not wilting, just a little on the dry side. What that does is concentrate the sugars inside the fruit. The flavors intensify, the tomato sweetens up and deepens in a way that is genuinely hard to describe until you taste it. I did this for the first time about 10 years ago, and I stood in the garden eating tomatoes off the vine thinking I must have accidentally grown a different variety. Nope. Just backed off the water a little at the end. Same plants, same soil, same everything else. The flavor difference was remarkable. Try it once, and you will never skip that step again. Let's run through all 6 one more time. Okay. We covered a lot of ground today, and I know that's a fair bit to hold on to, so let's run back through all 6 real quick before I let you go. Mistake number 1. Watering in the evening. The fix. Water in the morning, every single time without exception. Get it done early, let the sun dry off any splash, and send your plants into the night nice and dry. Mistake number 2. Watering the plant instead of the soil. The fix. Water down low, right at the base, right onto the ground where the roots live. Keep those leaves dry. A soaker hose makes this easy and nearly effortless. Mistake number 3. A little bit every day. The fix. Deep soaks less often. Get that water down 6, 8 inches into the soil, build strong deep roots that can handle whatever the summer throws at them, and use the screwdriver test so you actually know how deep you're getting. Mistake number 4. Feast or famine watering. The fix. Steady and consistent every time. No drought followed by a flood. Even moisture is what keeps blossom and rot away and keeps your tomatoes from splitting open right before you pick them. Mistake number 5. No mulch. The fix. Lay 2 or 3 inches of straw, shredded leaves, or grass clippings around every single plant. Lock that moisture in, keep the soil temperature steady, and stop the disease splash up all at once. Mulch is doing 3 jobs at the same time and asking for nothing in return. And mistake number 6. Watering on autopilot. The fix. Check the soil with your finger before you water, every time. Wet soil means you walk away. Dry soil means you water. And in those last 2 weeks before harvest, ease off just a little and taste what happens. You'll thank me. 6 mistakes. Not one of them cost you a dime to fix. Not one of them requires you to buy a single thing, pull out a single plant, or start over from scratch. It's just doing what you're already doing, only a little smarter, a little more deliberately, and with a little more respect for what the plant is actually telling you. Now go on outside and take an honest look at how you've been watering. Fix a couple of these things. Start with the morning watering if nothing else. And I genuinely believe this season you're going to grow the best tomatoes you've ever grown in your life. I'd love to hear how it goes. Take care now, and I'll see you next time.